Hi everyone, I'm Heath Hightower, co-host of Process Recordings. Before we get started with today's show, I want to just give you a quick reminder. While Lisa and I hope you find our show useful, we also want you to know that it's not a substitute for therapy. If you do need a therapist, however, we do recommend that you check out the psychologytoday.com website. Also, if you need immediate support, contact 988, which is the 3-digit number to contact the National Crisis Hotline and Suicide number. Thanks for listening and watching, and enjoy the show. Hi everyone, I'm Heath Hightower.
And I'm Lisa Wessan.
And this is Process Recordings, the show where we have real conversations about real human experiences, and we offer tools, tips, and techniques for some of life's greatest challenges. Mm-hmm. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, Heath. Welcome back.
Welcome back to
round
you, too.
Two. We're doing round two, part two of our topic, boredom. I really enjoyed the first episode, actually. It was fun hearing about the five stages of boredom, or the continuum you shared. It was really good. Yeah. So we are going to continue now with, as we always do, the tactical and practical side of things. This is for people. We are all about solutions here and helping you move out of the boredom with ease and grace. And my personal goal today is to help us all embrace the boredom and not be afraid of it, and see it as a springboard into something wonderful. And to be able to practice being bored without using food, alcohol, drugs, shopping, porn, gambling, without using electronics, to be with the boredom. So let's begin.
Yeah, let's begin, indeed.
Oh, that sounds very dramatic.
That's okay. Where would you like to begin?
Well, I was telling, before the show, I was saying how I want to bring new things to the table, because people probably already know about mindfulness. I mean, mindfulness is like a multi-billion-dollar industry now. It's an industry, and you're all going to go, oh, ho-hum, being mindful. But being in the present moment and learning to sit with your feelings, learning to sit with the boredom is definitely part of the process. But I think what came to me through reviewing the research that I've done from previous things, what struck out for me, what struck a note for me was getting outdoors. That spending time in nature can be a great way to combat boredom and promote creativity. And I knew this because I do walk and talk work, and I'm always in nature every day. I was hiking this morning, as a matter of fact. But when you're in nature, apparently, what happens is you develop a good harmonizing relationship with the default mode network. So like while you're walking, you might be thinking of something for a while, but then you go back to the path and you're just floating along. And according to the research, it's really good to let your mind float and not have an oppressive agenda all the time and be productive or stimulated or whatever. So being in the woods or being in nature or probably swimming in a pool, like whatever you do that's like ongoing motion, bilateral brain stimulation, your arms are going back and forth, stimulates it, let yourself rest in the default mode and be able to allow what comes up come up. And give yourself permission to have that space versus listening. And I'm guilty. Walking in the woods, sometimes I want to listen to the podcast or the book, or I'm finishing. I have a book from the library that's due like in 2 days. So like I've got to finish my book before it's due. Like, meanwhile, like I could order it again, but like, you get crazy. So, you know what I'm saying? So what do you think about being in nature as one of the solutions?
No, I think absolutely. I think part of what's great about nature is there's always novelty in nature. And so one of the things you'll often hear in the boredom management literature is really thinking about the small ways in which you can introduce novelty or newness. And the nice thing about literally being in nature is nature changes from season to season. So you could walk the same nature path but see something completely different. And nature just has this smorgasbord of novelty. Different flowers, different plants, different animals, different sights, different sounds, different smells.
And also running into people too.
Right.
Running into people.
Right. So it can also provide social stimulation as well. So I think the being in nature piece is in and of itself important, but then nature can also be a venue where novelty exists as well. Some friends and I, as well as my husband, we were in New York City last week.
Fun.
And every single day we walked a different route in Central Park, in the inner parts of
Wonderful.
the park, not on the outsides of the park.
Yes, I love Central Park.
And part of what is just lovely about that is there's literally something new to see around every corner.
Absolutely.
And you literally feel like you and the people that you're with, you're the only people in the world.
Yes.
Because the park is so big that you literally can forget that you're in one of the largest cities in the world.
Yeah.
So I think that I think can be really great, that the novelty that nature provides.
Yeah, yeah. And, one of the things you want to look at, Central Park is a great example. And, in Boston we have
The Commons.
which is similar. It's fun to turn a corner and see the sculpture, or to see a new flower bed blooming.
Yeah.
Or to run into an old professor you haven't seen in a long time. Like, that's always fun too.
Yeah.
The challenge for all of us is to be able to pair up, allow ourselves to have periods of heightened activity, whether it's work or play or whatever, and then the quiet time, and to balance more, like you talked about last episode, the Goldilocks zone, to balance in the quiet time.
Yeah.
And how much leisure is too much leisure, or each of us has to be figuring that out as scientists in our laboratories.
Yeah.
So something else that can be really good for helping boredom is to notice the awe and wonder that is around you. Now, again, that's part of the walk, but it's also, in these times, we have such intense news coming at us, and I don't want to divert too much into the news, but it's also, I wish they had in the current events, like marvelous discoveries, wonderful inventions. How many healthy babies were born today, like in Boston, and try to find good headlines that are uplifting, that can give you hope, and reading inspirational literature, which I'm not going to rattle off a bunch of things, but if you're not reading inspirational literature and books that are uplifting, that's difficult, because there are books that can help you feel more hopeful and change your mindset. So you've learned to focus on the positive and what's good things that could be happening versus the negative. So changing the mindset, is important for boredom.
Yeah, absolutely. And just thinking about the micro things that we can do, just shifting more of your activities from passive activities to active activities. So a couple of examples of that. So instead of driving through the drive-through window at a fast food restaurant, which is a pretty passive activity, like, go home and make biscuits from scratch.
Yeah.
All you need is flour, water,
So easy.
little baking soda, baking powder. Call it good.
The smell is the
right,
best
and then
part.
this
I love
right,
the
and then
smell.
so there's the tactile piece of the kneading, and then there is the smell of it in the oven. There's the anticipation of the joy you're going to have when you slather it with butter and strawberry jam, right? So thinking about taking the things that you do every day and making them less passive and more active. So instead of listening to music, make music.
Yes.
Instead of
That's it. Engaging, participating fully.
right. Yeah. So just taking the things that you do that are, again, very passive in nature, and turning them into something that requires you to be a part of it, I think can also be a very important part of the
that's a great
boredom
suggestion.
management.
Great suggestion.
yeah.
And again, I recently I've been hearing about chia seeds and like Zen basil seeds for a long time, but I hadn't gotten involved with them. And now I'm making different chia puddings all the time. Have you ever done this? Made chia puddings?
I've eaten them. I've never made them.
See, there's a soaking process. Like I put them in some mint, whatever concoction. I ate some fluid, some 8 ounces of water, 2 tablespoons, and then I go take a shower. By the time I get dressed, they're bloomed out, and then I can put in protein powder and berries and walnuts and make a delicious concoction. All right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
anything that you like to eat, that you want to eat, is to be creative, to alleviate some boredom, especially in the kitchen. You could go on to allrecipes.com or any place on the internet and just put in a food, and then you'll get all these new ideas will pop to you.
Right. Yeah.
So there's always a way to zhuzh up your life if you want. Of course, with the internet, you can do that.
Right.
But what I wanted to share more importantly is remembering from the pandemic when it was really tough, when we had the kind of boredom. What was it in the beginning of your scale? The trapped one, when you felt trapped.
Yeah.
And remember, I love going to museums. It's relaxing for me to walk around museums. So I started doing these virtual tours. There's a lot of the museums have virtual website. Because of the pandemic, they developed these virtual tours, and you can go to like the Balboa in Spain, and you can go through the whole museum. You can go to the Museum of Fine Arts and look at exhibits. So if you're homebound, let's say, God forbid you have like a busted leg or something, or you're ill, you can do some virtual tours of museums. Universities even are fun to look at. I like looking at schools. Anyway, and seeing things that will give you something to do besides just be home annoyed or watching your Netflix over and over, the same type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's important to have the option to say, I can make I can make the best of this time. How can I make the best of this time?
Right.
Versus doing the same old, which gets to be boring.
Right.
And, we all know streaming, streaming Netflix, whatever, HBO, whatever. But after a while, it's boring to sit and watch TV. It just is boring.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the other exercises that I often do with clients is just reflective work. So reflections, which can be either conversation, or the reflective work can be journaling kinds of exercises, writing assignments. With adolescents and kids, I might have them do collage or drawing. So just giving them a prompt like, what matters to you now? What have you always wanted to do and haven't done yet? What is my boredom trying to reveal to me about my life right now?
I love that. Oh, that's embracing the boredom. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think that I think another way of saying embracing your boredom is befriending your boredom. Make it an ally, make it a companion, and not an adversary that you're constantly doing battle with.
Yeah, yeah. And now, and to address what we started in the previous episode, let's say you're really bored with your job or your relationship, and it's a big question like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I hate my job, or I hate my spouse, whatever that is, whatever's going on. So something I learned is from one of Tim Ferriss's podcasts, is the MIQ, the most important question. So I'm suggesting to alleviate boredom and to make some changes before you go to bed at night. You just write down, like, concerning, let's say it's your career. Like, I hate my job. I don't want to be there anymore. What am I going to do? I'm so bored. It's going to make me nuts. And you write down, like, in your words, I would say, what's my next move? Before you go to sleep, what's my next move? What should I do next? I'm really confused. I don't want to be here. Would you write the question? The MIQ is one question, and then you just say it twice and go to sleep. And when you go to sleep, the subconscious works on this. And the next day, or maybe it could be the next day or a couple of days later, you get some ideas. So you're implanting a question to the subconscious, and it comes back with some really good ideas, like maybe even to call an old friend from school who might be able to has an idea for you for work. You never know. So the MIQ can be used. What's my next move? And that's what I typically will ask for certain problems. And then you get it. It's an open-ended question, kind of, but specifically for the boredom, there is a solution that's already in your beautiful brain, but you don't even know what it is yet. Your wise mind will guide you. And of course, if you're a spiritual person, you can ask, God and all your angels or whatever, but it's all the same. You're going to get information, but you have to focus and ask. So the MIQ is a great tool for these mysterious, how am I going to get out of this job, questions.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's funny, one of the other interventions that I recommend to people is actually inspired by the Netflix television show Grace and Frankie.
Oh, yeah.
Which stars Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda.
That was wonderful. Mm-hmm.
And there's one episode where they have a say yes day or say yes night, where they have to say yes to everything that comes their way. Now, I'm going to put a caveat to that and say, as long as it doesn't endanger your physical or mental health, say yes to it. But have a say yes to things that that you've never tried before. You oftentimes don't know if something is going to fit or align with what you need and want unless you try it. Do the experiment. The other thing, going back to something that you talked about in the first episode, which really has to do with Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's flow state work. So one of the best ways to create flow states is to find something that allows you to be at the intersection of challenge and skill.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the reason why that's important is part of what makes us feel not bored and engaged is a reasonable challenge that we can meet head on. Now, if you try doing something too easy, you're going to feel bored by that,
Right.
quite frankly.
Challenge is going to make a difference.
If you feel like it's too much for you to do, it overwhelms your ability, you're going to become anxious or you're going to just avoid doing it and won't even try it. So the sweet spot that you're looking for are activities that are challenging enough and you have enough skill to meet that challenge.
Yes.
That's where flow happens. Where flow happens, you're much less likely to experience boredom.
Love that. Yes, getting into the flow state. So taking on challenges. It's funny because in dialectical behavior therapy, we have this idea of opposite action. So some people will say, like, I would suggest, how about learning a new language? Like, that might be fun. You are planning a trip to a foreign country and taking out the library. Our libraries have Pimsleur and Duolingo and several other programs you can take out for free. And learning a foreign language is difficult, but it's most people, if you stay with those audios, you will get it. And that's it can put you into a flow state. Also, it takes your mind off your problems. Also, when you're learning a new language, you're not thinking about the troubles at home.
Right.
So I'm in favor of that. Taking on a challenge and break it into small steps, and then it's very satisfying when you finish something like learning 10 weeks of Italian. My husband and I, may he rest in peace, before we went to Italy, we got the Pimsleur out of the library. It was so fun. Like in the car, we had it running. That was the days when we had cassettes, seats.
Right.
It was a long time ago. But point is, it was really great diversion, and it's the opposite of, obviously, boredom. And also, you feel accomplished when you learn. We didn't become fluent, but we learned enough Italian to be able to, where's the bathroom? How much does this cost?
Right.
Where is the museum? And reading the numbers and everything. So I'm just saying those kind of tasks, learning a new foreign language, taking a new dance step, learning a new sport, that puts you into flow a lot. And it feels really good.
Yeah.
It feels really good. And it alleviates boredom.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's some obvious things that people know, like reading a book. But I wanted to say, also from the DBT group, I want to just say there's this thing called the pleasant events list. Mm-hmm. And there are 225 ideas here of things to do that are interesting to help people that feel bored or you're unhappy with your life. You want to just zhuzh it up a little bit. Right. And you don't do all 222 in 1 week. But I want to say there's places you can go where they give you great ideas. This is just one list. I'd be happy to send this to anybody if they wanted to get this list. But people sometimes just get into a very narrow box, and they feel they don't have options. Even like I'm looking here, it says, go fly a kite. Now, flying a kite is again, in the flow level, it's a whole experience. First, you have to pick out the kite, then you got to go to the beach. But whatever you do, it's better than just doing the same old, and being in that rut.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think also if we look at what the positive psychology folks kind of talk about as a way to kind of maximize well-being, which in many ways is the opposite of boredom, they have developed the PERMA model. And PERMA stands for pleasure, engagement, relationships, meaning-making, and accomplishments / achievements.
I love that.
And so one of the things that can happen to us all is we think well-being or happiness is just about the P. And the P is about pleasure, what feels good. And let's not be dishonest. Like, doing things that feel good is good.
It's essential. Yeah.
The problem is pleasure doesn't last very long.
Right. It's fleeting.
Right. And the best way to understand that fact is take your favorite flavor of ice cream. Take the first couple of bites and rate how pleasurable it feels. Those first couple of bites are pretty darn pleasurable. Now, let's go to your 20th bite.
Right, exactly.
Right? Now check in with yourself. How pleasurable is that 20th bite? Or if we're going to get absurd, the 50th bite.
No, it's
Right?
way too
Now
much.
it's like, oh my God, it's too
Nauseating.
much. I've got a stomach ache now. I want to throw up. Right? Exactly. So pleasure is a great thing. But think about different ways to have variety in the pleasure that you have. Most people know what tastes good because we are a very food-oriented culture. But think about like, what are your favorite colors to look at, right? What is your favorite aroma in nature? What is your favorite tactile sense? Like, do you like soft things? Do you like velvety things? Do you like wet things? Do you like really warm things? So one way to think about pleasure is to just think about the variety of ways that pleasure can be experienced. And one of the ways to think about variety is to think about the senses. How do I engage the senses differently?
Yes, I love that. Thank you. And to your point about the ice cream, something I've learned in my health journey is that I get more pleasure I learned this from Dolly Parton. I read her memoir, and she said this. So when you have something like ice cream or mac and cheese, one of these very rich foods, okay, and I am maintaining a weight loss, I want to stay the size, but I'm not living in deprivation. I eat all the food in the world, but not all the same week, right? So one thing I learned from Dolly is this. I want to share it here. Ice cream is a great example. I like chocolate chip mint. I like whatever, Kahlua Crunch, whatever. So I'll get like the first bite, 3 bites. First bite, take a tablespoon of it and then savor. Hello. Then you take the second bite. I love you. Really good, really good. And the third bite, goodbye. And that's it.
Right.
Hello, I love you, goodbye. Now, I do this, I'll say 90% of the time it works. Sometimes I have a 4th bite, but it's so much better than eating the whole, again, those foods that are very questionable, like mac and cheese, ice cream, fudge brownies, I mean, they're all delicious, but do I need more than 3 bites? And I found over the years that 3 bites is really just enough.
Right.
Occasionally I'll have a 4th, honestly, I will.
Sure.
But I will probably never eat the whole thing, And I was in New York City a while ago for a friend's 70th birthday, and chocolate mousse was a dessert, and it was fabulous. It was so good.
Yeah.
And I did the 3-bite thing, and I felt satisfied. I was like, oh my God, who is this person? Because I would normally, I'm just sharing with you, sometimes when you limit the pleasure, you get more pleasure from it, because those 3 bites are very significant.
Right.
And,
well, part of it is you're going to get those 3 bites.
Exactly.
And,
no deprivation.
And so you're going to savor it, right? Because you know that those
it.
are the 3 bites.
Yeah. As opposed to being bored ordering. Now, there's nothing wrong with a fruit salad. Before I learned the 3 bites, I used to have a fruit salad or no dessert. Right. I was a 0 sugar person, and I still generally don't eat a lot of sugar. I really don't. But since the 3-bite rule, I'm allowed to have things that I normally would consider verboten without any problem. So anyway, we don't have to put ourselves in food prison. That's my point. And the boring food, I think boring food is that we could probably do a whole show on like food and just how people can make themselves mentally ill eating the same boring food over and over.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful that we have options.
Yeah.
Options.
Yeah. And we've talked a lot about engagement, which is the second part of PERMA in positive psychology. And again, if you want a shorthand for what engagement is, think about those flow states. So the way that you know that you're engaged in something is that you're achieving that flow state where you're challenging yourself to do something and you have the skill to do it, and it's so absorbing that you kind of forget about time and space. That's how you know you're in a flow space. So this morning my husband and I were playing pickleball together, and like I was so focused on the ball and just like getting to it, like that hour flew. Like I had no idea where the hour went. And like all of a sudden it was time for us to go home. And that's flow state, where my challenge and my skill are being used in such a way that I forget about kind of time and space.
So what I'm taking away from our conversation is that it's really we all need to try to get in the flow state more frequently.
Yeah.
and don't deprive yourself of that opportunity. And the PERMA is a great acronym. Repeat again. P is pleasure, E is engagement. What was the M?
M is for meaning making.
Meaning making.
Yeah, and for those of you who are not sure how to do that or what that is, meaning making really is about three things. One is things that are meaningful give our life coherence. Yes. They give it predictability and structure and purpose. Which is also really also about significance. Is it important to us or other people? Mm-hmm. So meaning is both subjective and objective, meaning that it is important to me and it is oftentimes important to other people. And then our relationships, that's really about quality.
Yeah, quality relationships.
And then achievement and accomplishment isn't about gold medals or trophies. It's about having a goal and striving.
Completing it too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some goals are more long-term than others, and therefore is more about the process than the outcome.
And setting goals. Some people get backed up when they hear the idea of a goal. They feel pressure, but that might be another topic for us to discuss about. Sure. To be able to set goals with ease and not feel stress from them. Yeah. So we're wrapping up. We have about 10 seconds. So thank you, Heath, for being here with me today.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. And thank you, our listeners and our viewers on YouTube. Thank you for the honor of your time. Good health is wealth. Hope you go for it. And remember to embrace your boredom and get into the flow state more as much as you can. That's going to help your life be richer and more meaningful.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Process Recordings is produced by Lisa Wessan and Heath Hightower with technical support from Chelmsford TeleMedia, the community media center of Chelmsford, Massachusetts.